All right, let's talk about Pope Francis. Now, I know what you're thinking. Religion, really? But hear me out. This isn't about whether you believe in the big guy upstairs or whether you think communion wafers taste good. Spoiler, they don't. This is about a man who, for better or worse, holds a position of immense power and influence over 1.3 billion people. And frankly, he's just been doing things a bit differently. I'm talking about a pope who's more comfortable hanging out with the homeless than with heads of state. A pope who's more likely to quote Bob Dylan than the Bible, probably. Pope Francis has made a significant impact during his papacy. Let's take a look at some key areas where he's left his mark. Right off the bat, Francis decided to shake things up a bit. He chose the name Francis after St. Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of the poor and animals, which, let's be honest, is a pretty bold move for a guy who could have chosen literally any other pope name. It's like naming your kid after Gandhi. People kind of expect a certain level of ethical consistency, and to his credit, he's largely lived up to it. This pope has spent an awful lot of time talking about the poor, the marginalized, the refugees, basically anyone who's ever felt forgotten or left behind. And it's not just talk. He actually walks the walk, or at least gets driven around in his Pope-mobile slowly past the walk. He's visited refugee camps, washed the feet of prisoners, and generally made a point of reminding everyone that, hey, maybe we should be a little kinder to each other, yeah? He's basically the Bernie Sanders of popes, except instead of mittens, he's got that pointy hat. And look, I'm not saying he's solved income inequality or anything, but he's at least made it a central part of his message, which is more than you can say for some world leaders who shall remain nameless. Cough every billionaire ever. Yeah. So here's a fun fact. Pope Francis is a bit of an environmentalist. I know, right? Who knew that under that giant hat was a brain that understood the concept of climate change? In 2015, he released this thing called Laudato Si, which is basically an encyclical but for the planet. It's like if Greta Thunberg wrote a really long, impassioned letter to the world, but instead of getting death threats from oil executives, she got a standing ovation from a bunch of cardinals. This document basically said, hey, we're kind of messing up the planet. Maybe we should stop doing that, guys. And the world actually listened. I mean, not enough to actually stop messing up the planet, but still, it was a pretty big deal. He even got into a bit of a tiff with a certain climate change denying former president of the United States, which is always fun to watch. It was like watching a very polite, very Catholic rap battle, except instead of diss tracks, they were releasing strongly worded statements. Now, the Vatican, it's a bit of a mess. And I'm not just talking about the fact that it's full of priceless art and artifacts that would make any museum curator drool. I'm talking about the bureaucracy, the finances, the whole shebang. It's complicated, it's opaque, and it's been that way for centuries. So, naturally, Pope Francis decided to try and fix it. He's been trying to bring more transparency and accountability to the Vatican's finances, which, let's be honest, is a bit like trying to herd cats while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. It's not easy, and there's been pushback, but he's still at it, God bless him. He's also been trying to address the issue of clerical sexual abuse, which is a whole other can of worms that I don't really have time to get into right now, but let's just say it involves a lot of apologies, investigations, and hopefully some actual systemic change. One of the coolest things about Pope Francis is that he's really into interfaith dialogue. He's like the Switzerland of religious leaders, always trying to build bridges and promote understanding. He's met with everyone from the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar to the Patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church, and he's constantly urging people to remember that at the end of the day, we're all just human beings trying to figure things out. He's even gone so far as to say that atheists can go to heaven, which is a pretty radical statement coming from the Pope. It's like hearing your grandma say she's cool with you getting that face tattoo you've always wanted. You're still not sure if she actually means it, but hey, it's nice to hear her say it. Chapter 5. Everybody needs a hug, even sinners. Now, Pope Francis, he's a pretty chill dude. He's all about that mercy and compassion thing, which is a refreshing change of pace from some of the more, shall we say, fire and brimstone popes of the past. He's always emphasizing the importance of forgiveness, understanding, and just generally being decent to one another. He's encouraged priests to be more welcoming and less judgmental, which is a good thing because, let's be honest, nobody wants to go to confession with a priest who looks like he's about to judge you harder than your own mother. He's even said that divorced and remarried Catholics should be allowed to receive communion, which is a pretty big deal in the Catholic world. It's like saying that pineapple on pizza is actually delicious. It's controversial, but hey, at least he's starting a conversation, right? Chapter 6. The Diplomatic Pope Mobile. So, it turns out that being Pope comes with a few perks. You get to wear a cool hat, live in a giant palace, and occasionally get involved in international diplomacy. And Pope Francis, he's not afraid to use his platform to try and make the world a slightly less terrible place. He played a key role in helping to restore diplomatic relations between the United States and Cuba after like a bazillion years of Cold War animosity. He's also spoken out against the persecution of Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar, the Syrian civil war, and basically every other conflict you can think of. He's like the world's grandpa, always trying to get everyone to just calm down and get along. Chapter 7, Power to the People. Well, a little bit. Now, the Catholic Church, it's not exactly known for its democratic ideals. I mean, the Pope is elected for life by a bunch of cardinals, which is about as far from one person, one vote as you can get. But Pope Francis, he's been trying to change that, at least a little bit. He's been talking a lot about this thing called synodality, which basically means getting more people involved in the decision-making process of the Church. He's been holding synods, which are basically big meetings where bishops, priests, nuns, and even lay people get to share their thoughts and opinions. It's not exactly a revolution, but it's a start. It's like letting the kids at the dinner table have a say in what's for dessert. They're not going to get to choose everything, but hey, at least they're being heard. So, is he a saint or what? Look, Pope Francis, he's a complicated figure. He's a man of deep faith who's also trying to grapple with the very real problems of the 21st century. He's made some bold moves, challenged the status quo, and generally tried to make the Church a more welcoming and inclusive place. It's important to note that opinions on the success and impact of these achievements vary. Some people may see them as positive and transformative, while others may have different perspectives. But regardless of where you stand on the man or his message, there's no denying that he's shaken things up in a way that few popes ever have. He's made us think, he's made us talk, and he's even made us laugh sometimes, which is more than you can say for a lot of world leaders these days.